flowing sleeves and hems that brushed the floor, making the senior patrol homogeneously intimidating. The first time I'd seen all 12 of them together, I'd found their appearance absurd, but my impression had quickly changed when I realised how much power they had. Only that morning, I'd witnessed Genevieve and the Captain General of School, Jolyon Astor, terrorising a group of first-formers who had mistakenly attended the early breakfast sitting. There are 1,000 fucking students here, and you think you're getting in first? With one motion, Genevieve swept all of the objects on my side of the desk onto the floor, swung herself onto its surface, and tugged the lower half of the window up to above her head. She crossed one slim leg over the other, leaned nonchalantly against the wall, and lit a cigarette with an ornate silver lighter. "So," she said, exhaling sharply out of the corner of her mouth, "our suspicions are confirmed." "What do you mean?" Marta's brow was furrowed. "We all rather presumed you'd be slovenly little toads," Genevieve replied. "But I told Sylvia and Bella we'd need to wait until the first SPI to know for certain. And here we are. Vindicated." Her eyes hardened as she absorbed the squalor of room 1A. "You can both miss formal supper tonight and tidy the fuck up. Fucking freeloaders," she added calmly. There followed a long silence in which I sat down on the edge of my bed while Genevieve smoked thoughtfully out of the window, and Marta stared at Genevieve. Amidst my humiliation at receiving yet another punishment, I felt a prickling anxiety about Genevieve's cigarette. Its acrid smell was permeating our room, despite the open window. This would no doubt lead to more trouble with our housemaster, Major Gregory, who'd summoned Marta and me to his study that morning and told us that nobody, in his 12 years at High Realms to date, had ever made a worse start at the school, and that we could consider ourselves on probation. He seemed not to care that all of our misdemeanours had been Marta's. As her roommate, I was destined to be tarred by the same brush. I was, therefore, relieved when Genevieve reached under the window to stub out her cigarette on the outside of the frame. I hoped she would leave, but instead she settled herself more comfortably on the desk and surveyed Marta contemplatively. "It's for your own good," she remarked. "What do you mean?" Now Marta was glowering at her, her fists balled in her lap. "You do well to remember that boarding schools are communal environments. A degree of consideration for your fellow students is an essential courtesy." Genevieve's eyes darted from Marta to me, but I knew that her anger had nothing to do with concern for my personal space, and everything to do with the goals I'd put past her an hour ago. "But perhaps you already know that. Perhaps you've been to boarding school before. Have you?" Her eyes bored into Marta's. "I've never been to school before," Marta retorted, and Genevieve's eyes widened. She glanced at me, apparently to see whether I'd registered the same surprise, but her homeschooling had been one of the first things Marta had told Sammy, Lloyd, and me about herself. "I don't know how to behave in public," she'd said cheerfully, and it had rapidly become clear to us that this was true, to an even greater extent than Marta herself seemed to realise. Now Genevieve's eyes were narrowed. "Explains a lot," she told Marta. "You're a fucking savage, aren't you? An unsocialised little... What the hell are you doing?" For Marta had moved swiftly towards Genevieve, her body suddenly taut with anger. "Sit the fuck down." "Marta," I began, feeling helpless, but she'd already retreated. She sat down slowly on the edge of her unmade bed, her face pinched with tension. My roommate was small, shorter than Genevieve and me, and very thin, almost emaciated. Marta's pleated school skirt swamped her knees, which were tightly pressed together, and her shirt sleeves were so baggy that they enveloped her fists, which I knew were still clenched. "What about you, Rose Lawson?" Genevieve demanded, pronouncing my name as though it tasted sour. She withdrew a fresh...